This Chicago, nigga. Chicago, nigga. Chicago, this Chicago, nigga. Chicago, nigga.
No, I'm gonna get the fight back with Tank. I'm gonna get the fight back. It may not happen my next fight. It may not happen, but it's gonna happen. Because you know everybody's gonna ask for it. Everybody's gonna ask for it, you know, and it's gonna happen. But I got something bigger lined up than that. So I'm not gonna say much, but something big.
From that fight with Tank, from sharing a ring with him, how confident are you if you do it again, it will be a different outcome?
I ain't gonna lie, he just proved to me I'm the best boxer in the damn world. I whooped his ass, and like honestly, I got caught with a good shot and made a mistake. That's all that happened, you know. If I whooped the motherfucking ass, ain't nobody gonna say I didn't whoop his ass. So.
Deontay Wilder, I'm a Hall of Famer right now. I already know when I'm done competing, I'm automatically in the Boxing Hall of Fame. No questions asked. If not, I'll be very surprised. So I'll be honest here, I was tempted. I was tempted to actually make a disparaging video about Deontay Wilder because, you know, silly season is nearly upon us. Deontay Wilder silly season is nearly upon us. We're going to get a lot of videos in regards to Deontay Wilder, especially if he chooses to say some of the outlandish stuff that he likes to engage in. And it's open to interpretation, how people take it. And obviously, Deontay Wilder fans are going to interpret it as if it's some sort of gospel and or written down, so scripted from some sacred scrolls or some shit like that. Obviously, I'm engaging in some form of hyperbole when I say that, but I don't think that I can really bring myself to making a negative video about Deontay Wilder because it just serves no purpose. Even from a individualistic and personal point of view, it serves no purpose. You get no satisfaction out of it. I get no schadenfreude out of it. In fact, as a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say this, that if critics of Deontay Wilder are being really honest with themselves, I think that they feel a certain amount of sorrow and sadness, not for Deontay Wilder fans, but for the ones who really hoist Deontay Wilder up as some sort of sacred cow, who believe that he represents something more than boxing, just because they've been told that. It just seems to me that in the grand scheme of things, in the pantheon of black heroes, that he just doesn't measure up, not even to the bottom of the feet of some of the giants that have contributed to black American culture or black culture worldwide. It's just not there. I think you can choose to like him because you tend to want to be appreciative of a man who can knock another man out, and the sheer brutality of it is fascinating for a lot of people. It's like the same thing that you get with people who are conditioned to think like that, particularly in prison. There's no amount of education or intellectualism that's going to get you through prison. You're going to have to work out, be strong, and make people fear you. or at least project an image of fear. You know what I mean? And then you have a bunch of people who are willing to interpret that, their fear, as not necessarily fear, but love. But it really does sort of subscribe to that whole thing with Machiavelli, isn't it? It's better to be feared than loved. So they have this fear of Deontay Wilder. But not so much a fear of Deontay Wilder, a fear that if Deontay Wilder does not succeed, there is nothing else out there that can compete or give them a toehold into the heavyweight division. The defeat that Deontay Wilder took at the hands of Tyson Fury. I said hand because I don't know why. I'm thinking I got confused because I want to say free because it was free fights. But you know, it was a total defeat all around. Whether you see it individually as individual fights or you see the whole group of fights together, it was a group loss for Deontay Wilder. He managed to get a draw in one. He got knocked out or got stopped in the let's be accurate. Let's be honest. His corner stopped the second one. He was dissatisfied with that, so he decided to go for a third fight, and then he got stopped. In reality, he got stopped. So in all fights, you gotta say, like, it was a big loss for Deontay Wilder. He lost his belt. He lost his pride. The only thing that he didn't lose is his life, I suppose, and that's one thing. Or I didn't lose his. I mean, it's very hard to say whether he actually lost any brain cells, because you know I probably would argue that he really didn't have that many to work with. But he's very fortunate, you see. I mean, when it really comes down to it, he has succeeded. So if somebody's critical of him, we need to be mindful of that ultimately he succeeded. And I think his success, though, is very much in line with what you get in social media. You see a lot of people on social media nowadays, and they just sit down and they just rake in money because people donate. And I think that Deontay Wilder is that type of heavyweight. I don't think he really got that type of money. The money that he got based upon talent and skill. I think he was able to get that type of money based upon propaganda, social media propaganda, and the people who also benefited from the trickle-down effect of what he eventually was able to earn. But as I say, I feel sorry for Deontay Wilder fans. I think that if you are so bereft of anybody of quality to guide you philosophically, ideologically, or through action, that the only one you can find, or you can even bother to include Deontay Wilder amongst a circle of greats, if you can include him in that, I still feel that, you know, you don't really have a great deal of understanding of the world, and the bar's being lowered for you so much that you see people like Kevin Samuels or Deontay Wilder and people like that as modern day heroes. And I can't bash you for that, you know what I'm saying? I can only say, like, look, in all honesty, I happen to wish Deontay Wilder the best. It doesn't cost me anything to say that I wish him the best. It is what it is, you know what I'm saying? I don't wish any harm on him, but I could never see a man like that as a hero. I don't think he expresses himself well enough. I don't think that he has contributed enough by way of action, social action, and I certainly don't appreciate his boxing as such. I'm not impressed by a man who can simply knock out people. I don't even care, even if he was knocking out giants, to be honest with you. Even if he was knocking out giants and it just so happened that he didn't have to work at it, I don't think I'd appreciate it, because to me that's not inspirational. That's more like, okay, you got a special gift and that's it. I mean, yeah, you got a gift. You didn't have to work at it. You didn't have to work at it like Muhammad Ali did. You didn't have to work at it like Mike Tyson did. In fact, you criticize those type of people and claim that they, I mean, you don't specify about them, you don't say about them, but you say about somebody like Anthony Joshua, because that's the same pattern, isn't it? These people were trained to be fighters, and of course they might add their own little unique character to it. But the bottom line is this: the fundamentals is what they were trained in. And sometimes they might even be adverse to using the fundamentals, like Muhammad Ali, who would drop his hands, or Mike Tyson and some of the stuff he would do. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, he was a dirty fighter. But I'm just saying that when it comes to Deontay Wilder, I think that Deontay Wilder could be appreciated if I didn't know any better. If I was somewhat illiterate and ignorant, if I didn't read a little bit, if I wasn't appreciative of people of greater consequence rather than boxing, if he had a mantra that says like, you know, all work is easy work, or hard work and dedication, something like that. You know what I'm saying? That suggested like, okay, you know what? Floyd, we can argue that he was gifted, but he didn't come simply by way of just being gifted. He said hard work and dedication. All work is easy work. Have a mindset towards that. I can't go around just yelling bomb squad. You know what I mean? Just because you can land a punch. I can't go around yelling bomb squad. I can't go around, I don't know, claiming he's a Kang. I can't go around saying till this day. What? So what? So what? That's like victimhood. That was the very essence of victimhood, to claim that till this day you're still a victim. I mean, people still get victimized, but my God, what would you do if you were born in a shitty third world country then? And you really had to come up. I mean, you could argue that Tuscaloosa, Alabama is something akin to that in some people's eyes, you know, the liberal elite, but nah. So for me, when it comes to Deontay Wilder's going to have his fight against Helenius. I'm not going to call it predictable. We just know that silly seasons will be upon us. You're going to see Deontay Wilder fans coming out, you know, out their little cave, hoping to see something that's going to catapult Deontay Wilder back into the limelight, some sort of newsreel, some fascinating viral knockout of some sort, particularly against a white man like Helenius, who sort of looks like a bootleg type of Tyson Fury. I think that would be revenge enough for the Deontay Wilder fan. That would be enough. If he can get it back in blood against another white man without actually saying it, I think that would be okay for them. But personally, it fills my heart with sorrow that this is what it really comes down to. You know, the Deontay Wilder fan and the enablers. It is what it is. So, article put up by Dan Rafael on his Substack channel. You get a lot of these journalists nowadays. They go on Substack. It's sort of independent media. They have less control from editors, and you can subscribe to it. Funnily enough, I'm getting this one for free, so I don't know what the deal is. Okay, so let's see. His Substack is called Fight Freaks United. I'm not sure whether it's part of a group or whatever, but this is his article on there, and there's a link to it from Twitter. It states sources: Canelo Triple G 3 generates disappointing 550k to 575k pay-per-view buys. All right. So the body of the article states the following: undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez's clear unanimous decision over rival Gennady Golovkin in their third fight did not come close to doing the kind of business of their first two thrilling middleweight championship fights. Fight number 3 on Saturday night at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas generated between 550,000 and 575,000 pay-per-view buys in the United States, multiple industry sources told Fight Freaks United on Tuesday. One of the sources said the fight had a chance to hit 600,000 buys. The total includes buys from DAZN subscribers who paid $64.99 for the event on top of their monthly or annual subscription fee, and those who purchased a fight card for the one-off price of $84.99 on traditional linear television and satellite services, as well as digitally via payperview.com. Of the overall total, about 200,000 were from non-DAZN subscribers, according to sources. It goes on to state the following: that means Alvarez Golovkin 3 would have to be considered a major disappointment, considering that, according to sources, DAZN needed far more buys than 600,000 to break even, given the reported $75 million combined it guaranteed to Alvarez and Golovkin. It also means that the fight did not do all that much better than Alvarez's upset decision loss when he challenged light heavyweight titleist Dimitri Bivol in May in a fight that generated a disappointing total of approximately 520,000 buys in the United States. That fight was purchased at $59.99 for DAZN subscribers and $79.99 for non-DAZN subscribers. Both of those fights fell far short of the approximately 800,000 buys Alvarez generated for his 11th round knockout of Kelly Plant to unify all four 168-pound titles and become the first undisputed super middleweight champion last November. That fight was put on by Premier Boxing Champions and produced and distributed by Showtime Pay-Per-View. Alvarez has had just a one-fight deal with those entities and returned to DAZN and promoted Matchroom Boxing for the fights with Golovkin and Bivol. I'll tell you what, I would be willing to believe. I could be inclined. Now, first things first, I think Dan Rafael's reputation is a bit shaky out there. It is what it is. But you know what, though, despite the fact that it seems shaky and all that, I'm less inclined to believe him. And it's no fault of his own. It's just that I think what Steve Bunce said, the interview he gave, is quite revealing. And I think that he's compared those numbers deliberately to what Canelo Alvarez did with Showtime, PBC, as a way of making some sort of gesture, an offering to those entities because he doesn't want to be shut out. I think what Steve Bunce revealed to us there is that you have to play the game. If he gives a positive reflection of what Canelo Alvarez and Triple G did, and I'm not saying that's definitely the case, but I'm saying if I look at what Steve Bunce was saying, that the decisions you make as a journalist affect your access, affect your asset, therefore your livelihood. You know what I'm saying? I think that he knows that it's better that he gets access to fights coming from PBC and Top Rank and all these other American entities. I don't think he'd ever write something like this about Top Rank, for example, because they shut him out completely. And even if there were disappointing numbers with PBC, I don't think he'd go wholeheartedly into it. I don't think he would suggest that, compared to somebody so and so, they did it could be considered disappointing or failure. I think the pay-per-view market itself is a very difficult one at the moment to crack, and this fight here, there was a lot of negativity about it. I think he's done rather well because he's done 500,000. It's done 500,000. Not a lot of fights out there going to do 500,000, and it depends on the circumstance, of course. Let's say somebody like Errol Spence does 320,000, or let's say Deontay Wilder does something along these lines. That would definitely mean he's a superstar, according to some. So, but we're talking about Canelo Alvarez here. We're talking about Canelo Alvarez here, and I think he's deliberately decided to drag in his own to make a point. And that's all fair, but it could be that he's been accurate. I don't think so. But even if he's been accurate, I think he's thrown in some jabs there deliberately because he wants to appease the people on the other side, rather than DAZN and Eddie Hearn, and suggest that this business model, the fact that they sent out mixed messages that pay-per-view was dead, and they decided to put these fights of Canelo Alvarez on pay-per-view, and they're not doing too well. I think Dan Rafael, being the kind of sneaky dude that he is, I think he's decided to take advantage of that and appease PBC gods and the other American promoters out there, and this will go down well with them. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to say his sources, just say sources here and there. And of course, he'll be well aware, he'll be mindful of the fact that there's a good chance that Eddie Hearn is going to come out and say, like, you know what, we did better numbers than what Rafael's talking about, but DAZN doesn't show their numbers because he knows he's relatively safe as far as that is concerned. I think he's relatively safe, but it is what it is. I would believe him. It's just that I think that even though we suspected that there were issues in as much as the way journalists get access, I think that Steve Bunce made it abundantly clear that it's actually a bigger problem than we initially thought. You know what I'm saying? If you tell the truth, you're going to get shut out, or if you don't play the game or play politics, you're going to get shut out. And I think the only person who doesn't shut people out, as a matter of fact, that they can take advantage of, is Eddie Hearn, and they all dump on him anyway. We'll see whether that lasts.
Go nigga, go nigga.
Darren, you said there about Joseph Parker taking on Joe Joyce, and you favoured Joe Joyce slightly, but I mean, the winner of this fight looks like they could be set to face Alexander Usyk. First of all, what do you think the likelihood of that happening? And second, do you think any of these guys have got the skill set, any of these two, to beat Usyk?
No, straight away. He's, I wouldn't say in the league of his own because of the Tyson Fury who hasn't put a foot wrong yet, but Usyk's on another level. Absolutely, he's a master. He's an absolute master. You know, there's not many. You know, I can name on probably one hand people that are close to have almost completed boxing or have got as close to mastering
Completed boxing.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But Usyk is one of those fighters. He's so good. And I think what's even more frightening, I think there's more to come from him. But, sorry, what's the other question?
Oh, that means, I think the original question was like...
I think we've all forgotten what that
He said
Sorry,
that about Joseph...
you know what that is? That's 20 years of boxing, that is.
No, that was just
Sorry,
my...
I think you got the wrong number. Who is this?
That was just my question, is that who